To the fourth video in this series. The next step in the mesh network project is to get some power. We've got some of the mesh nodes that are talking back and forth to each other, but to test this on any scale we're going to have power, which is where these guys came from. And these are supposed to be 5,000 milliamp hour battery packs, and as we'll see later, I believe they stuck 4,000 milliamp hour batteries inside of them, which is what you get for buying from China. Anyway, so what we need to do is make this one and one other one look like this, because we need to take power out of here and get that into our node. So I've just got some twisted stranded copper wires that are coming out of the circuit board on the inside, and we'll just take our power straight out of there. So when you power this up, you have 5 volts on these, which is exactly what we need to power up our node. Okay, that'll turn itself off eventually. There we go. Okay, so this is the original node. It's supposed to be waterproof. I discovered in taking apart that it's probably not, but hopefully it'll stand up to a light sprinkle anyway, so we'll just see where that happens to go. But so to take this apart, I'm just going to start by lifting off the rubber edges here. Try and get some light in here where we can see. Make sure we're close enough to see. Now we have clips here on the bottom, some on the side, some on the top. I'm just going to take a screwdriver and start going up underneath them. It's not a huge deal if it breaks, but try and keep it together if you can. First one's a little tough. There we go. And the second one. Alright, these are all free. Come up here to the top. These go the other direction. Open that up. And that. Alright, that looks good. The tricky part is the sides are also connected together, so you have to get them started. Once they're started, they're pretty easy. But there we go. There. Now we're apart. Now be careful of these really thin wires. They're thinner than they should be really, but those hold the solar panel on. And if you're curious, you can stick your multimeter on these contacts here and see how much voltage your solar panel is producing. So here's our battery. I've actually discovered several different styles of batteries inside these. Some of them are thicker and don't fit right, and some of them are, I think they're all smaller than what they were on the website, so that's pretty cheap. But anyway, we're going to first desolder the battery from the circuit board so that we can work on it without risk of damaging it. So you can kind of take this rubber part off for now. We won't need that. Just get in the way. So the easiest way to do this is to take a third hand and grab onto this. Just lift it up a little bit so that there's some pressure against it. And you're just going to take a soldering iron, tap that contact so it lifts up. That one's free. And then do the other the same way. Okay, now the battery's disconnected and we can work on the rest of it without any problems from that. So we're going to take our connection off of this USB port right here, the one by the LED, which doubles as a flashlight if you double tap the button, I discovered. So to make room for our cable to come out, we need to break away part of this USB contact here. So just grab it. It's got a seam in the middle. Just lift it up here. Then you usually just grab it, start rocking it back and forth. It should break off in about 6 turns or so on one side, and then break the other one off best you can. It's not an exact science really. There we go. And then just take this sharp point and turn it back down inward so that it's not sticking up Do the same for the other side. Okay. That looks pretty good. Make sure not to stress these guys over here. They're pretty thin, so keep those in line. Right. Now the positive contact, let's come in pretty close here. The positive contact is this one right here on the far right. It's just next to the ground post here. So this is positive, and the far left is ground. So what we're going to do is take some stranded copper wire. I'm just going to cut about 5 inches off. We're going to cut 2 leads 5 inches each. 5 inches isn't a special measurement of anything, that's just enough that I know we'll have enough for the rest of it. And then you're going to strip off about 1/8 of an inch on the end. Keep that in the light. There we go. So do that for each one. I originally stripped off more of the ends, but I've discovered that this is actually a little bit easier to work with because you don't want to be shorting out on your USB connection to the PCB in there. Alright, so I'll just take a third hand, and it helps to kind of split the strands into two and just kind of fork them around the post on that connection there. It can be a little tricky to get it to sit there, but hopefully that'll work. And we're just going to solder that on. Looks like a good connection. Okay, and the other. Split those apart and angle them just around that post. Looks good. Alright, that's another good connection. So just double check those, make sure they look happy, and I think we're alright. So then we're just going to tuck these wires down into the USB connector enough that they're relatively flat when they come out. So that should be sufficient there. And then we're going to reconnect the battery together. Good. There we go. Now our battery is back. Okay, so now all we have to do is close up the case and put it back together. So we're going to feed these wires through the USB cover on the side. We'll get back to those in a bit. This rubber thing is kind of annoying after a while, but will eventually go into place. Right. And you want to hear snaps all around. And if you mash this rubber piece at the top in there, it gets stuck. Pull that out. There. So now it's all back together. And to maintain whatever waterproofness this thing is actually supposed to have, may or may not actually have, we're going to take 2 holes through here, just punching this out with a probe. I'll take the unstripped end of this wire and promptly run it through the wrong hole. That way we can keep them straight as to which is positive and which is ground. Take that through there and just kind of gently push that back into place. Alright, so now we are just about done. All we have to do is test. So we're going to strip off a 1/4 inch of this end and a 1/4 inch of this end. Bring in the multimeter. I believe the right side is positive. It doesn't really matter. This is reverse polarity protected. But hit the button, lay down our contacts, and you see we have 5 volts, which is exactly what we wanted. So this should be ready to go, and we'll use this to power both the radio and the Arduino for each node. So check back in the next video and we will continue working on the node part.